Good morning. Welcome to the Coffee Table Talks, live from wherever you're watching this from, you weird stalkers. It's okay. Mostly we're live on LinkedIn, but you can also find us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and even, yes, the Facebooks. We are there too. Today we have a good friend of mine. I consider you a good friend. I don't know. You may feel differently. Wolfgang Goerlich from Duo with those awesome folks over at Cisco. And with me, as always, is Will McCullen, whose name is hiding behind a tree. That's awesome. And look, I'm like, I got a tree in my face.
He's just peeking out there.
Let me go this way. There we go. I like the overlay. I think I got too much going on, though. I don't know. Anyway.
I think it's awesome. It's great.
I do. Restream's got all these fun things that you can just like throw into your stuff. The chat overlay is one of them. So I don't know if is anybody out there, but we can do this. We can go, good morning. There you go. Oh, and it does stuff. Love it. Anyhow, we're looking back today with Wolfgang. So hi, Wolfgang. Thank you for coming along.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, what's up? So I want to see your coffee cup because it's impressive.
Well, I've got the cup.
Right, but then there's
I come prepared. So the other day, one of the things that was terrible about 2021 was research came out that said if you drink more than 8 cups, your like chances of dementia and heart problems and everything go up. And I was like, well, if I only drink like 8 pots, is that the same thing? I mean, really, a pot's like a cup. But my wife, her kid is in healthcare, and he's always like, "Are you okay? What's your pulse? Are you all right? Do you know where your phone is? If you need anything, let me know." I think they're all waiting for me to drop dead of caffeine, but I haven't died yet, so I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't think we're live on LinkedIn, so I'm going to fix that. Talk amongst yourselves. I know.
So what do we want to talk about?
Myers here. Yes, tall, grande, vente, or Goerlich. Hey, Ian, how's it going, mate? So good to see you.
What's up, Ian? How's Florida? I know today in Louisiana it's like 75 degrees, so I'm just like, Christmas.
You guys, you kill me. So I'm in Detroit. I was on vacation on holiday where it was 70, 80 degrees, and I land and it's 28 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm like, no, put me back in the plane. You can't take me off. If I don't get off, they're going back, right?
Man. Oh man, that's rough. That's horrible.
We've got a nice light rain here in Tucson. You know, it's to the point where, you know, I almost need to put a jacket on, but not quite.
I'm trying to find out where are we live from? I have no idea what's going on. I know we're live from YouTube. Thank you, Ian, for proving that.
I'm live at the moment, but not in the delay.
Oh no! Where is this at? View. Okay.
So maybe this is, well, you're figuring that out. Maybe this is a good thing to start, right? With 2021, you know, where's my jetpack? We don't have jetpacks. We don't have flying cars, and streaming still isn't working, and home delivery still isn't working. And I order my groceries, and they send me a car charger when I ask for coffee filters. Why is all the tech still broken?
Well, I remember my son telling me the other day that I think George Jetson and his job was supposed to be like 2022, wasn't it? Or something like that.
No, he was born in 2022. Yeah, so we're right around the corner.
Oh, so flying cars are just right around the corner then. And being put in little tubes and shipped off and things like that.
I just want them to get DoorDash and those delivery services to work first, and maybe like streaming to LinkedIn to work first before you stick me in a tube. Prove to me that you can stream things when Amazon goes down for a while. That's all.
Right?
That's
what I'm thinking. That's the first thing I was worried about this morning. Whenever I was going to click the go live, I was like, I wonder how much of this is going to be broken. Oh no. Probably a lot. Yeah, there was what's funny to me is everybody from the outside looking into the cybersecurity community and network engineering, like all the IT, everybody not IT is like, wow, is that what happens whenever that breaks? And we're like, we told you. Told you.
And some people are really optimistic, and I love this optimism that comes to the younger generation. And that optimism may be the wrong word, but someone's like, well, there's a lot of executives who are going to learn their lesson right now because they went down in the cloud, and we had told them that we needed to invest more. I'm like, let me tell you, we went down for a couple of days with our email, and the CIO was like, no, it's still your fault. I'm not getting you that RAID. I'm not getting you that hardware. Figure it out. No, it isn't the eye-opening experience for boards that many young folks think it might be,
or hope that it would be.
Hope, yeah, hope might be a better word.
Yeah.
Well, the one I like is like, you ever seen Enemy of the State? Right? It is. Oh, come on, Gene Hackman and I forget his name. The guy who did Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Anyhow. Awesome movie, right? A lot of fun, action, all that kind of stuff. And the government can get into everything, and they can instantly, take over any camera, whenever, every once in a while I'd have friends, oh, you're in IT, right? Can they really do that? And my thought was always, it's kind of incredible that it's working in the first place. So before you go down that road, it's a little much to think that you can just, pop into anything without it then immediately going belly up.
Absolutely. And, one of my favorite quotes from that is like, if they're big and you're little, then you're fast and they're slow, right? If you're hidden, then they're exposed, and you only fight battles you know how to win. You're like, yes, that is right. But first, is DNS working?
Right. It's just automatically. It's just, yeah. Whenever I started out first working with was like enterprise level cybersecurity teams, I don't know where I got this idea that they were gonna have all their shit together, but I did, and I was so just disenchanted immediately whenever I figured out that, wow, you guys hold it together with basically shoestring and duct tape. That's I don't know. I think that speaks volumes to the level of talent that is on those teams. One, whenever you see talent, that's talent. Okay. If you give somebody 2 sticks and they build fire, you know what I mean? Like, hey, good job.
Right.
But then that also speaks to the level of concern that the whoever's allocating budgets within that organization, right, or planning or management of tools or any of those things, like, man, that's broken. That's so broken. And
well, the talent side. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, go for it. No, you're fine. I was just wrapping up a thought.
I've had some coffee. I'm going to talk all over you now. So the talent side in 2020, and I think this is really something that doesn't get enough attention, right? So everything breaks. We know that. And we have the world's greatest migration in human history, and arguably the first migration to go from physical to virtual, because we all move back home. We all move online, and we start moving to wherever we want to live. I should have moved to somewhere in 70 degrees. We'll talk about that later. I'm still kind of a little bit annoyed at you too for that. But what happens is in March to April 2020, two sticks, a half broken popsicle stick, some duct tape, some chewing gum and paper clips, and the tech folks just move everyone remote, right? We completely redo how everything is working. The fact that we were able to pull that off really speaks to exactly what you're saying, Rachel. I think it really speaks to the talent and just that that know-how and that gumption that a lot of IT folks bring. It was fantastic. Now, 2021, we tried to fix everything that we did in a hurry, but it was really quite exciting to see.
It's amazing to me that, you know, some you'll have some folks out there that are like, pile on more tools and pile on more this and pile on more that. And wasn't there was one, I was reading the headlines this morning that it was a local thing. I think it was Cox, actually, Cox Cable. If anybody utilizes their services, they were successfully social engineered. Just so you know, they are recommending that all of their customers change their passwords and change any other passwords on accounts that may be similar. Nowhere did they ever mention anything about multi-factor, right? Which would help kind of slow that down a bit. I'm not saying that that's the end all be all. I'm just saying it helps slow it down a lot. Because people can still work around it. Josh was actually telling me this morning about a story he heard where somebody successfully, and it's not like wizardry, okay, how to get around your MFA product, okay, and actually infiltrate your end users' accounts and credentials. They just forced push notifications to authenticate to people's mobile devices until they were so annoyed that they almost clicked, yes, it's me, gah.
Well, so all right, there's a couple things there, right? And one of them is just a very broad principle. And this is something I think security people forget, right? We think if I build a wall, they will stop. No, you build a wall and they're going to walk around it, right? They're going to walk around it. They're going to climb over it. I just went large. Did I lose you guys?
No, we're here. Okay. You're being featured.
That's Rachel.
This is featuring Wolf's rant. Okay, so we think we're going to build this control and everything will be done. Now, should we build the control? Yes. Do we need the wall? Do we need the doors? Do we need the locks? Yes. Do you need MFA? Please, for the love of God, put MFA everywhere. But the minute we do that, the criminals don't go, oh, gee, shucks, that door's locked and MFA is on there and they're using a 32-character password. I guess I'll just go be a barista somewhere. I guess I'll go get like a regular day job. No problem. No. The minute we get a good control in place, the adversaries work around it. And I think one of the problems is security's gotten kind of reactive. We'll put the control in place. And once we get it in, we're good. Not remembering that what we really need to do to think a couple steps ahead is once that control's in place, what happens next? And you're spot on. We reached critical mass with MFA in 20, and what that meant is in 2021, criminals are heavily incentivized to work around it. And that example you gave, Rachel, I just had a conversation with a CISO I work with 2 days ago. And effectively what happened was the exact same attack. They just kept bombarding this person. She wasn't purchasing, bombarding her with push requests. And finally, she's like, well, it must be me because I keep saying no and they keep popping up. Well, maybe it's a Zoom thing I'm trying to get in. I don't know. So she clicks OK. And then immediately they log into her email. They set up a whole bunch of Outlook rules. They, backdoor her system so that any emails coming in with a certain code go to the adversary. And they start executing on an invoicing scam. And this was in like seconds. All this was set up.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Oh, yeah. And that's how quick it happens. And that didn't take some mastermind, right, to annoy the literal crap out of somebody.
And it also shouldn't have been a surprise. If you look at what criminals used to do, they brute force passwords. All right, what happens when you don't have passwords? Well, they'll brute force your other authenticator. It's pretty clear line if we have the moment to do it, to think through what they're going to do next.
Yeah, I'm thinking of starting a content share of and naming it Plenty O Fish, but with PHISH. Just because there are so many fun. So my husband's part of a Facebook group where they share all of these really embarrassing stories about different dating apps and down in the chats and stuff like that. And some of them are bots, and people are playing like they know it's a bot, and they're playing with the bot just to see how crazy they can get the bot to say stuff. That could be a dangerous game because now they're checking out how what it is that incentivizes you to chat with it and everything else. But anywho, so I don't recommend talking to the bots. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they got me thinking about the Plenty-O fish, but with like a pH. And one of the things that happened early. Wow, I did that wrong. Sorry, I was gonna try and share a picture. I don't know if it's gonna work out well. But there's a local place that I like to take my kids to here that's called Barn Hill Preserve, and they're like an animal sanctuary. And Halloween they do pumpkins and stuff like that, and they always have different things. Well, a fake account is messaging people off of their friends lists and off of their followers, telling them to click a link because they won the latest contest.
Oh no!
Right, and they had to put out a huge thing about this to warn everybody. I started thinking, I was like, how many people don't do that? Like, they don't say anything. I actually commended these folks. I reached out to them and messaged them to the side, and I was like, you know what? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. You highlighted, I mean, if anything else, you've helped save a couple of people from clicking on that. Right? Because it's not always, you're not always the target, right? Sometimes you're not the end game. You're a stepping stone on the way to bigger and better prizes. So for the people that are like, what do they want from me? I don't have anything. They can have my bank account. I got $2 in it, It's not about you, fam. Okay. Sorry. All right. You're right. You are small potatoes, but how about, Grandma, Nana, Auntie, Uncle Joe over there who's, rolling in retirement, did well for himself. And now, some threat actor has access to you through your $2 broke bank account person that you are. And they social engineer that. Like, you have to be aware that this stuff is going to happen. The smishing attempts for my phone. So my phone number is everywhere. That's my legit phone number. Anywhere you find that Rachel's phone number is somewhere, it's my legit phone number. Okay. Does that mean if
we're Googling after this conversation?
Yeah. You don't even have to Google it. You can go anywhere and find it. I make myself very accessible, but that also means that I make myself very accessible to scams all the time. And if you think that you're going to message me and I'm going to just immediately interact with you, you are wrong. You are so wrong. Okay. Good level of OSINT goes into that. I try to trace you back and find out if you really are legit a human that doesn't suck. So anyway, but the phone number's out there. So that also puts me on all kinds of phone calling lists, and I get, which is great for education and awareness, because I get every schmishing attempt that there is. Okay. They're getting so good. One of them added my dad's name.
Oh.
I know. I was impressed. They did it in the wrong context, but it was still in there. Right.
Well, being in Tucson, right? We just not too long ago had one of the students come walking into the range, just, white as a sheet, because he got one of those phone calls that the drug cartels have your sister, right?
Yeah.
And screaming in the background and all that kind of stuff. But I'm stuck on the bot aspect back there. I disagree. I think your husband should continue to talk to the bots, because from his perspective, he'll be teaching the bots stuff that make them really weird.
Well, that's why we follow what other people are doing to talk to these things. Is we usually it ends up in some kind of a conversation about, could you manipulate the behaviors of this AI bot, and how can we do that, and how fun would that be to eventually get it to admit that it's not real, just on its own.
The old game that we used to play with Twitter bots, I think might play here too, right? We would try and get two Twitter bots to talk to each other, right? Because then we would blast each other for like hours or days going back and forth. And so, I wonder too, just firing off a bot whenever a bot contacts you. Oh, okay. I see where this is going. I'm just going to plug my own bot into this. They can chat for a while.
That'd be good. That would be good.
It's almost like the La Brea tar pit effect, right? So if you remember the La Brea thing where you would set up a honeypot to slow down people from networking scanning. Same way. Let's drive up the cost and complexity for some of these people just a little bit. We had All their bots talking to all our bots. Come at me, bro.
All your bots belong to us.
and they're so great because and for me in cybersecurity, I immediately get these people aren't on my contact list. If you're on my contact list, usually I stop and think a little bit. But they figured that out too, because now they'll push instead of just coming from some random number that they create, whatever Google number, they'll add a name. And because I am so public with a lot of things other than my friends list, they'll scan through and they'll find names that I would probably be likely to accept as real people. But it'll be somebody's name paired together with somebody else's name that I recognize. But it'll be in all caps. I'm like, I don't do that. You guys are all saved in my contacts as funny things, just so you know. just like Wolf.
I'm very curious as to what I'm saving.
Wolf has a picture of a wolf next to it. I'm probably giving away so many secrets right now. I'm helping to improve those who are trying to scam me. Stephanie's has like a big pink sparkly heart next to it because of sequin code. Yeah. But you can tell whenever you get these smishing or even, phishing emails, right? Or phishing phone calls will play along. It's all the same setup, right? They want you to act. Then they try to cause some sort of panic within you or try to elicit an emotion, a very big emotion, right? It's going to be, some sort, usually anxiety ridden, so that you just skip over all of your rational thought and just click things immediately. So if you ever feel compelled or nervous, be aware of your own emotions before you go to click stuff and stop for a second. Just, who sent me this? Why would they send this? And why am I getting this? And this doesn't seem right. This is not how my, insurance provider contacts me normally. This is not how some lawyer would try to get me to jump on board with some payout for, some group lawsuit that I didn't even realize I was a part of. The one that got my dad's name was, "This is Jack from the DMV. We've been sending you emails with regards to your overpayment right before Christmas." Man, you guys are sneaky. One, I am not overpaying the DMV. Okay. That's, if anything, they're going to be asking me for money. That's.
Oh, not to mention it would have a delay on it of about 6 months.
It would.
Yeah.
It would.
Right.
And if you think that legitimately any entity is trying to contact you because they want to be good Samaritans and give you money, no. They're not trying to balance their books by having money leave the system. Okay. It's not happening.
If only we could have like several Visa, MasterCard accounts that are pre-set up on the FBI watch list, and go, "Oh yeah, here, take this number." That would be awesome.
Ooh, right? I like that idea. Idea. The emotional side though is interesting. It actually started a research project I've been doing this year because over the summer, MFA everywhere, please. So I've got MFA in my Instagram account, which I never, ever use. I think I just use it to like follow a couple people. And Rachel, you mentioned my wife, Stephanie. I'll use it to go browse whatever crazy photos she's putting up of herself and her sequins. And so I got a text that said, "Here's your code." And I went, someone's trying to break my Instagram account. I am so clever, though. I've got MFA. I'm not going to fall for this. And I didn't think anything of it. And then very quickly after that, I got an email saying, we just noticed you logged into Instagram from the Ukraine, from Windows 7, using Firefox. Is this you? I'm like, wait, what? So, like an idiot, immediately I went and clicked on that link to say, no, that's not me. And what the attack in the back end is they were trying to do an OAuth attack. So you would click the link and it would register their service with an OAuth token into your Insta account and thereby bypass all your authentication. So the emotion got me. But also that's why I started doing this series of mistaken identity, looking at OAuth and OIDC attacks, because it occurred to me the better we get at authentication, the more they're going to be going after this tokens and the assertions that come from SAML as well. We're going to see those attacks go that way. But oh my goodness, did I fall for that? I felt so dumb.
Oh, brilliant! It's brilliant, though. You have to appreciate the engineering of it.
Yeah, that's true.
What's bad is that happens too, and I don't think enough cybersecurity people talk about it. So I'm glad you mentioned it. It happens to us too. Like we're not immune at all. Like Josh and I were looking at possibly doing some things to sell our house, and somebody on the financial side, right?
More information going out.
Yeah, here you go. More information going out. And our financial guy, or gal, who knows? I'm not telling you. No, just
person, human, maybe a bot.
Human. Even told me, I'm going to send this to you to this email address. Click it, and that's going to be where, that's going to be the secured Dropbox for whatever we're talking about. And I was like, okay, cool. It was a couple hours later by the time I caught up to that email box, and I clicked the first lendery looking thing, which, by the way, lenders send you crap all day long, right? And I was like, oh, that's a secure Dropbox. And then I clicked it, and I didn't even think. And then after I opened the Dropbox and it was asking for stuff, I went, oh, I didn't verify any of that. I started having, it was legit. It was legit. But I panicked. I had a panic attack about it for a while. And I was so embarrassed that I didn't stop to verify it. I didn't even tell Josh.
Oh, well, we won't say anything. No one on this call. Everyone who's listening, please don't mention this to Josh.
I didn't, but I stopped and I panicked. It turned out that it was okay. So I shared later with him. I think I mentioned it briefly, and I was so glad. I don't think he caught it, but because he would have been like, Rachel.
Well, that's a really good point. So Cat Sweet, I don't know if anyone follows Cat Sweet or knows of her, but I follow her on Twitter and I worked with her in the past. She had this tweet this year that stuck with me, and it was like an unpopular opinion tweet. And she said something to the effect of sustained hypervigilance is a trauma condition and not an ideal state for a security culture. And that really hit home for me, because if you think about it, if you live in the sustained hypervigilance and you don't trust anyone or anything, how are you even living, right? How are you enjoying life? How are you connecting with your loved ones and your friends? I probably would not be on here right now, although other than maybe to get information on Rachel because I want to go after her. But maybe I'll send her a Dropbox. But you know what I'm saying? With so much of security being predicated on us being so hypervigilant, there comes a point where you go from being street smart, which I think we should be, to being paranoid and losing some of the zest of life.
Yeah, well, you bring up the cyber community, right? So for us who live and capture the flags and things like that, it's part of the game, But how many folks know how to do some of that follow-up, right? And that's the advantage that the bad guys have across the board is, I know it's shocking. I know it's amazing, but not everybody is into cyber. And so with the complexity that's involved, it's just reaping great success for the bad guys left and right. How can we fix that? If the system is complex enough, then we're missing out on the security at ground zero, right? It needs to be built in a way that normal people can survive for those that are not into IT, which there are some, and it's okay. How do we do that?
Oh, I'm not commenting. I'm waiting on the expert. Wolf, say stuff.
So, I've been looking a lot at this is a design challenge, and how can we design polka yoke type models where, okay, if you go to do something that's wrong, you're immediately protected. The phishing scam I mentioned, I was saved by my DNS security, right? I was like, nice try, but that's an infected link, and it saved me. It saved my butt. And so I think part of it is designing better systems, but it's also going to take some time. And it's also going to take a realization that this isn't new. So we tend to think, oh, things like flight, and look at like the first 10, 15 years of flight. Well, people are crashing planes all the time. And they're like, well, what is wrong with people? Maybe we're asking them to fly too much. Maybe this is more reaction time than they need. And, they sent researchers and scientists and they wrote reports and they blamed the pilots and they blamed human error and they blamed everything until people went, wait a minute. How come this plane is so complex that it's easy to crash? How come the button to like go up is the same shape and right next to the button to like adjust the air flaps to turn? And they started redesigning the entire experience and making it much more humane and human-centered. Similar things happen with manufacturing. Oh my goodness, look at all the deaths that happened. Again, I'm from Detroit, so I think a lot about like, the Model T and those things. The assembly line, lots of deaths, lots of people losing fingers, lots of human tragedy. And again, what do? We're like, well, it's not the technology, it's the people. We just need to hire better people and train them. Well, 100 years later, what do we say? Well, we got better technology that stops and has guards and has, polka yoke mechanisms and those sort of things. In much the same way, I think in security, and we're starting to see a little bit of sea change with this, coming out of consumerization of tech. In security, what we need to do is design for people who are tired, people who are rushed, people who are emotional, to the point that you made, Rachel, and put controls in place to just prevent these types of mistakes. Why is it so easy to do everything wrong?
Oh yeah, but then there's the other added aspect, right? So you're designing this, you're getting this put into play. Oh, let's add 6 more levers, right? Because it sells.
Yes.
So where are you going to put those? Oh, well, that doesn't matter. Okay, well, let's put those over here. Oh, here's 5 more. We've got to start putting some overall human design. I agree with you 100%. But we have to find some way to prioritize that.
And the levers and things that you point out also reminds me of something that I thought was good that came out of this year, right? So, and I've talked about this many times, the book Unsafe at Any Speed, right? The book Unsafe at Any Speed that came out around the automotive industry and really championed building safe cars and balancing out the profits with the human impact of vehicles. That the car that they featured, by the way, was the Corvair. And when I was a young man, of course, I read this book and I'm like, I need a Corvair. So I drove around in one for a while and freaked out my parents. But that was like a sea change. That was a sea change in how cars were built. And we saw something comparable, I would argue, this year with the Biden executive order that came out in May that said, thou shalt do zero trust, thou shalt do multi-factor, thou shalt maintain a software bill of materials. We saw something comparable with, CISA making a lot of progress, with the Department of Defense and their cybersecurity maturity model, or CMMC 2.0 dropping. I think we've reached the point, and I didn't want it to, usually my talk was like, if we don't fix this, the government's going to step in. But I think we reached the point of, we haven't fixed it, the government's going to step in, and that's going to create some market forces. We just have to make better products that are more secure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I to your point about CISA coming up, I have noticed whenever I first started subscribing to a lot of the CISA, like different feeds and getting those notifications and things, that those were useful in some ways not so much. But as I keep going back and visiting the site, and looking through some of the resources that are being shared there, somebody's actually organizing that shit, you guys. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Somebody's doing stuff.
It's getting better.
Ooh. I'm like, look at that.
It is definitely getting better.
It is. I think that's one of the best changes right now is like, even with my folks at first, they subscribe to all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? Which is what we all were trying to scream from our little InfoSec island in the beginning. Like, oh my gosh, things are going to happen if you don't do, whatever. Watch out, beware, your life shall be ruined. People will die, cities will burn. And my parents would not even click links to things that um, their primary care physicians would send them that they knew were coming. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yes.
you knew this was coming. Don't be afraid. Like, right? And to now, they can easily identify what is smishing and vishing and everything else. Dad's like, I don't even answer it anymore if I don't know they're coming. And I'm like, that's good. That's good. I'm okay with this.
Well, there's Wolf, you mentioned that you're about to be talking with Chris Roberts here soon, right?
Yeah, in about an hour.
One of the things that he brings up often is, unfortunately, with the correlation of the auto industry and stuff really coming into play because people were, dying, right? And that, unfortunately, it seems to, and Chris Roberts brings this up often, that unfortunately it seems to take actual physical harm or death to get people to actually move on some things. What are your thoughts along those lines? Because government's starting to step in. That's great. But look at the dollar toll that has gone out the door of this country. But still, it doesn't seem to be a strong enough motivator. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the economic side is a really intriguing angle. And, I want to point out, Chip Harris pointed out, like lean manufacturing, the bow tie process. These are ways that these things have been solved in the manufacturing space. But there really needs to be impacts that ripple through and gain attention. The Colonial Pipeline in May, right, happened. Half of the gasoline to the entire East Coast, unavailable. And of course, similar attacks followed on with Iran, which took all the gas stations off, which wasn't good. What else happened that was really a wake-up call? JBS. Maybe JBS only impacted me. I love steak. Like, I have steak every morning for breakfast. I love my steak. But when they got hit, a quarter of Americans' beef supply was just done, was stopped. And so it's those types of things that when they happen, they gain attention. People have the realization. But of course, the flip side is we're still going through a pandemic, and a lot of things are happening. And so that news is vying for whatever the panic of the day is in mass media and mass market. So it is it's a little bit tricky to get that attention there. And I also think, back to the fear, uncertainty, and doubt point, we really need to balance those things out. So we're not always like, you got to be scared, we're going to blow apart, everything's going to be terrible. And really go more towards, the bow tie and lean model, where it's like, okay, in our organizations, we're here to make money. Let's talk a little bit about how we can improve that and add security benefits and reduce risk. All the good things we've been talking about for a while.
Yeah. There's another show that I like to listen to. And when I started out my career, I was kind of following pretty heavy David Spark with the CISO series. They do a new spot now that I like. I call it microdosing security headlines, but it's like 9 minutes in the morning, and all they do is talk about the headlines for the day, and it's like every day. Which, for people who don't work in cybersecurity, you're like, oh my, the anxiety levels are shocking. Right? Jesus, because outside of us, right, like you mentioned JBS, or we can talk about Colonial Pipeline that happened earlier this year. That's from outside of our cybersecurity IT bubble. That's what people know, right? Is the big, right, the big stuff. But they don't hear about all the little things that happen all the time. And unless you work in this industry, I don't really expect you to have the emotional bandwidth to be able to ingest all of that information and process it correctly. Because they can talk about a breach and they're like, but it depends on what degree the breach was. What was breached, right? Did you get a bunch of screen names? Did you get a bunch of screen names and passwords? Did you get a bunch of screen names and passwords and access and lateral movement through the entire network? And now admin credentials have been compromised at a very high level. Maybe even the CEO now is, sending all kinds of fun things from his email account to all of his assistants and everyone in the company. We don't know. But whenever we read those headlines, we can discern as cybersecurity people what those headlines mean right? Like, why is it important that my password on, Walmart or Target.com was compromised? Why is that important? I don't care. I don't even shop there, Like, I just set that account up this one time. Well, pumpkin, the chances of you reusing that same password somewhere else and other accounts that you do care about are pretty high. Or it's probably some reiteration of it. You probably used, your kid's name, their birthday, and an exclamation point on one, and then on your bank account, it's 2 exclamation points. You're not slick. The hackers know what you did because it's hard to remember all of your passwords. And that's why we scream about multi-factor authentication, is because we know you're human. We know that you're supposed to use different complicated pass phrases. Stop using a word, okay? Use a whole sentence. Pass phrases on different accounts, but you can't keep track of it and you can't remember, and it's confusing, and you don't want to hit forgot password every freaking time. We know that. So we ask you to turn on, your multi-factor authentication option wherever it is available, or, grab a third-party one to apply to that account, because we just want to help you. We know it's hard. It's hard to come up with new passwords and passphrases all the time.
Well, that's why, password managers are filling the gap too, right? So let me I think the stat I saw was in the enterprise, 190 passwords is typical for a workforce employee. So let me create a manager that just automatically fills in those 190 passwords, and alleviate a lot of that problem. Now, the exciting thing to me is the shift to passwordless, where we go ahead and just use some of those other strong factors and get rid of the password altogether. And of course, we've made a lot of progress with the FIDO2 standard, which was ratified. WebAuthn and CTAP was ratified before the pandemic, and now it's in all the browsers, and now a lot of the application vendors are using it. So that's exciting to me. Just make it simple so I can log in and get in, and let's go and remove the password altogether. Now I say that, and I did I did some work some advisory work in the retail sector, and I looked at like 25 different retail orgs, and almost none of them supported passwordless yet. Very few of them supported good multi-factor. So it's like, there's so much work to be done.
It is. It's a lot. There's a lot. And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just one bite at a time. And get a lot of forks.
We'll get there. I mean, again, if you look at other, innovations, it takes a long time to really work through these issues. But one thing you said there, Rachel, I thought was interesting, which was we understand it better. So I don't know about you guys, but I take this as a sign of positive. Around 2000, I was horseback riding, and I got to know a guy because he was the CIO for a power grid. And I was like, oh, yeah, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I did this great thing. I'm like, oh, what did you do? He goes, oh, well, it's so important to work, remote. And this was 2000, right? So I'm like, oh, this is good. This guy's forward thinking, right? We want to work remote. Like, that's great. It's like, yeah. So I equipped all my admins to be able to manage our power plants from anywhere in the world. I'm like, oh, that seems smart. How did you do that? And he's like, well, have you heard of this thing called Telnet? And I almost fell off my horse. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, no, we opened up Telnet to all our systems, and then they can log in anywhere. And so over the fire that night, we had a really good conversation about clear text protocols. But this was 21 years ago. Now, when Colonial Pipeline happened, and we in the know learned that OT was not affected, I don't know about you guys, but I had a big sigh of relief because I'm like, man, I think I had an OT environment. That was like terrible.
But I was like, it was only their billing that was screwed up. Thank God. Oh my God.
Yeah. But had it happened 20 years ago, all that OT would have been open. It would have been one big flat network. I do think we're seeing some signs of progress, but it's hard to realize that when the adversaries keep getting better. But 20 years ago, man, all that OT would have been one flat network, probably a broadcast domain. You get in, everything would have been done. It would have been toast.
I think for the adversaries, their ability to lean on communication between different threat actors is way better than our ability to lean on communication between our different siloed industries and teams. I'm just saying, there's a lot of red tape on the good side of the fence and a lot of blockage that happens because we're taught to think like bad guys and like hold all that information to ourselves and not share it anywhere. And we're trying to be good people that we forget you should probably share some things that you find, a little off with the data protection team or whoever it is that's in charge of that thing that you found that might be threatening to the rest of your network and all of society, or a supply chain. On the bad side, they're talking shit about all y'all all the time. And you can find it. It's easy to find. They sell each other's secrets and people were ready to purchase because why? Because everybody loves to pay for ransom. That's why they love to pay it. They're just going to pay it. It'll be better. It'll be easier. You've basically enabled all of these threat actors to just keep buying, selling, and trading information over and over and over again. And it's super fun to watch it happen. And I'm saying that with a lot of sarcasm. All right. For those who may be joining who don't know me, I speak sarcasm heavily. Okay. Heavily.
So we had New York, we had Pennsylvania, I think North Carolina, 3 states that I'm aware of that are working on legislation to prohibit paying the ransom.
Yeah. And a lot of people are like, no.
I don't know if that's good or not, but that's in the works.
It is. What was it? They put like a cap on it in some places. Josh and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, where you couldn't pay over so much. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I think I feel like you're trying to do something good, but I'm not sure where it's going.
So here's what concerns me about ransomware in the future. There's a couple things. One is, paradoxically, if you look at the stats, the ransomware attacks actually dropped. They dropped in 2021. It was much lower than it was in 20 and 2019. The success rate went way up, right? It used to be, we target people in homes, and now we're doing big game phishing, and we're making millions and millions of dollars off this. So the targets of opportunity dropped down, and then the success rate for a few big attacks went up. However, again, let's think about what happens when things get better. Today, oddly enough, it's very similar to like rum running, right? So if you think about like 1920, 1930, think about like Bonnie and Clyde. There was a time where the outlaws had technology that was faster than the cops. You could buy a V8 engine and you could outrun the police, and you could rob a bank and get away with it. You could run rum and make money during the Prohibition around 20 to 30. And then suddenly the police got better equipped and got better informed, and the technology kind of levelized, and that advantage went away. We're in a very similar space today, right? The criminals can get in, they can steal stuff, they can act much quicker than the defenders, they can act much quicker than law enforcement, and boom, they're off. The difference is, and this is what terrifies me, the difference is, in that era, 100 years ago, you did have Bonnie and Clyde, you did have Al Capone, you had these famous names. If a ransomware company starts giving some money back, taking a Robin Hood approach, building some goodwill with all the unemployed people that we have right now, if a ransomware company starts going, okay, it's really hard to burn our O days, maybe we just give $500,000 to someone who hates their job. Suddenly, our threat surface goes from being all this technology that we can kind of get a handle on to being all our employee base and potentially all the unemployed folks. That is what really concerns me. And so far, we don't have anyone trying to play like the criminal hero, the Robin Hood type figure in that space. But if it happens, we're going to be in for a very rocky few years.
You're right. And that's, back to just talking about talent pools and the direction that companies are going in. So for the last 2 years, suddenly people who thought that they couldn't do a remote workforce were forced into a remote workforce. And now their employees have gotten a taste for that. And it's so nice, right? You don't have to commute anymore. You may have sold that extra car you don't need, stuff like that, which is great. I mean, actually, I think it's wonderful for just our economy as a whole, because now people have more time and money where they've cut corners in different places. Now they're eating at home, and there's some different things that have happened to our society that have changed kind of the landscape and the way that we conduct business in everyday life. You can pump that into Amazon, right? Unless it's broken. But right, you got Amazon delivery trucks coming by all the time, and now there's all these new job openings and just truck drivers. If you ever wanted a pretty secure job, go get your CDL if you're not interested in cybersecurity, because that's also another place that's happening. We've got job openings. And Rex, if anybody wants to find out more about those, message me separately, and I will send you all the linky things that you can check out and that are not phishing. All of those job recs for career options with Activision Blizzard King. But there's another thing that's going to happen. I'm waiting for the corporate atmospheres and just cultures that maybe previously weren't focused on it, but corporate culture, you're going to have to step your game up hardcore. Because not only were you opened up to a bigger talent pool of folks that could possibly join your team now that you've accepted remote positions into your life, they also have a lot more choices. And they have a lot more options too. So now you're going to be competing with a wider, global pool of opportunities for these people that you were already pre-pandemic screaming you didn't have enough of, right? That's why it's become wildly popular suddenly to join cybersecurity, get in there, because they all want to still stand up and go, oh, there's a talent shortage. There's a talent. No, you're just really bad at identifying the appropriate. Yeah, sorry guys, you're just really bad at identifying. I'm down in some discords where there's like 300 people that are just chilling, waiting for somebody to come knock on their door and use their talent. Like, they're all like, I want to break in. Look at all the people that want to break in. Yeah. There's no talent shortage. You suck at hiring.
So before I joined Cisco, I ran an apprenticeship and did several different consulting practices too, and we put 67 people through that program, which was great. But for every person we hired, we had over 50 qualified applicants, and that really just completely changed my mind about the talent shortage. I'm like, what is going on? And then I talked to other peers and everything. They're like, oh yeah, well, we're not hiring anyone entry or junior. We're only looking for mid-level or senior talent who's got experience in 3 different cloud providers. Right. And if you can't decompose the skills and you can't hire junior folks, you can't upskill, mentor, and coach, yeah, you're going to have a talent shortage. You're going to have a pipeline, but that talent shortage is on your talent, not on the people trying to get in.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to mention identifying talent simply by specific certifications or things that building your whole HR aspect simply based upon keywords.
Yeah.
Right? You're missing the point of the talent and the ability and the creativity that is out there.
Oh yeah, 100%. In cybersecurity, it takes a diverse thought pool too, right? So it doesn't have to be necessarily somebody that's worked in the industry, specifically in the industry for 10 plus years or whatever. It doesn't. There's so many people in audit that would be ripe for cybersecurity, okay? And they have that analytical mindset and that the ability that you're looking for to be able to command maybe a tool that's already in place. So one, stop looking for tool specific users, okay? Also, can we just not? All right. Don't do that. Don't be like, has to be certified by this vendor. No offense, Wolf. I know you guys have some fabulous ones. But I'm just saying, they can get certified through that later. And you, as the company, if that's what you're looking for, should pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we did with the apprenticeship. We hired people with base skills and we put them through a certification program. No, I'm on the exact same page. But, it is interesting because the last major pandemic, right, the Great Plague, is oftentimes credited with the rise of the working class and the middle class, with the understanding that there can be an employer-employee agreement, and that should be favorable for both parties. And so a lot of like working rights came out of a pandemic. I'm wondering what's going to come out of this one. I'm wondering if we're going to be able to do something comparable. And I see some of those moves where, McDonald's is now paying you $25 an hour, which I'd say, great. Why not? There's some interesting changes afoot.
There are.
And with the things that you brought up, Rachel, with the being able to pull from a much greater base with, folks working from home and things like that, and being able to change easily. Now you're bringing some of that short attention span even more into the working world.
Yeah, it is. Side note, relatable though. Another fun story that came out. So with the work from home situation, something I wanted to highlight. It's kind of a negative thing. So if you can tell that I'm a little apprehensive about talking about it, that's why. I knew of somebody that was double dipping. Right? They were working for two companies as the same position. Because there are sites out there that are like overwork or something like that. And they try to give you tips and tricks and tools and stuff like that on how to double dip, work for two companies at the same time. They don't know you're at home. Ha ha ha. No, they're going to find out, and then they're going to fire you, and then you're going to go from 2 jobs to no jobs. So don't, be careful. Be careful doing the side hustles for your work from home environments. They're on to you. Okay. Like, it's a bad idea. That was scary. It was something I didn't even think about, by the way, because whenever I'm with an organization or doing something, because I volunteer for my local ISACA board, right? And I volunteer with Innocent Lives Foundation. And those things are all what I consider extracurriculars. Once I have signed up and agreed with a company that I'm going to dedicate the bulk of my working time to whatever it is that the business needs are. And then after that, if I want to cut into my own personal time or after hours time, then I do volunteer work, which I am not compensated for. I am also not compensated for this podcast. That's what is this? It's a live stream. Like, I'm not even that good. I'm not this is just non-sponsored content because me and Will like chatting with Wolf, right? It's just
awesome.
It's fun. I don't need anybody to pay me to do it.
Your GoFundMe.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not doing that thing. This is always going to be non-sponsored. Now, Secure Nation does support us because of the LinkedIn Live situation and like the Restream platform and stuff like that. So that's about as far as it goes with that. But anywho, that's don't double dip, guys. That's not a good idea. Somebody's going to find out, and you're going to end up super jobless. It's not going to be fun at all for anyone.
Unfortunately, it happens in our industry massively with online learning. There are instructors that are instructors with multiple institutions. And the bad side of that is then how much attention is the student actually getting from their instructor? It happens.
It does happen. It does. Oh, Jess. Hey, Jess, what's up? I just noticed we had somebody else jump into the chat. Fantastic. Yeah, for those who may have struggled finding us this morning, LinkedIn broke. Sorry. And Wolf's going to have to go at in 2 minutes? Yeah.
Hey, dude, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you guys for having me on. This is like the best way to drink some coffee and have some chat. So I really appreciated it.
You can tell Thor enjoyed it.
Good old Thor.
I want to do that for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, hey, you guys, if anybody ever needs, you guys can come over, hang out, take a nap on the big comfy couch. Dog hair is not an optional thing. It's mandatory. It's going to happen.
Don't joke. Stephanie and I will show up with suitcases.
Okay. I'm not joking. I need people in my life. It's another reason I started this live stream. So you're jumping off here and leaving us this morning because you're going to go talk to my good buddy Chris. Go give him a high five for me. Tell him I'm glad he feels better. And when is that show going to be airing? And what is your live stream /podcast?
Yeah, so the podcast is Tactical Security, And we are dropping season 2 at RSA, which is all about the human attack surface. So we're talking with Chris Roberts and a bunch of other folks to say, how do you define it? How should you consider it? How should you protect it? So that will come out. If you're following me on Twitter, you will see the release and when we make the big announcement.
Look, there we go. Everybody go follow. Go follow Wolf.
Hey, there we go.
Does Stephanie still have
great
your...
to see everyone on the stream.
Yeah, it was great to see you too. We'll close up, Wolf. I'll tell everybody to go follow you, or impending doom will happen. But
do me a favor and tell Chris the PIMA students say hi.
There you go.
I will do that. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.
Later.
I hope he knows just it. Yeah, there he goes. He did it right. Woo! Yeah, so everybody go follow Wolfgang on Twitter. I'm not sure if his other half, better half, oh yeah, he's not here. We can talk smack. His better half, Stephanie. I'm not sure if Stephanie still runs it, but she had like a sleeping Wolf Twitter. Apparently Wolf talks in his sleep.
Oh no.
So you can go find that one out too. It's kind of fun. She used to post really fun stuff on that one. And I thought it was great. Anywho, thank y'all for coming and hanging out this morning. Apologies for the LinkedIn issues. I do apologize for that. All the recordings are always up. Not on that. Well, on that one too. Right there. There you go. She does still run it. Ian coming in. Love it. It's amazing. It is. Go find it, guys. It's super fun. And go follow, everybody you see in the chat here. That's another reason for this live stream is go network, make friends. Go make friends. Look at the friendly people that like to say things in the chat. Go follow them too. Anywho, Will, did you have any closing thoughts? How are we? Is it going to be jumping from one nightmare of 2021 to the next, or are we going places? We doing good?
Well, we're trying to do good. I mean, we've got all sorts of stuff happening here at PIMA, and trying to develop to where students can do and give back in real actionable ways. And I'd love to see that duplicated across this country. So that's about.
That's the closing. I put you on the spotlight and you got nervous?
Well, I've got about 6 different things going through my head right now.
No, you got a full day ahead of you too. I got to go through a lot more like onboarding videos that I got all excited to meet all the new teams at Activision Blizzard King. Oh, they sent me the coolest jacket. Oh yeah. Another room. It's pretty. Oh, and I got some really neat. Wait. Look, when I opened this, I was like, oh, that's nice. They sent headphones. They're like branded.
Woohoo!
Like, look at that. Look how fancy schmancy. Aren't those beautiful? I love it. I love it. So if you guys want to come join us at the team, hit me up on LinkedIn. We'll work that out. Anyway, if you're looking for some awesome mentoring and you're in the Tucson, Arizona area, go find Will. He's at PIMA. What campus is it?
East Campus. And
East Campus.
A good time with the cyber range.
Yeah, at the cyber range. And that's open to the public, huh?
Yes. And we're very soon, we've about got our targets set up and bring volunteers in, and then we're going big. So
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Next week, we're talking with you guys next week. So everybody come back.
Yes, please.
Right?
We're going to be talking about education and looking to help solve some of those issues and problems and getting people better prepared. So that should be a fun conversation.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the InfoSec gifts that keep on giving, which is you and the folks over at PIMA and everything that you're building, because I title these things. Will just shows up.
and this will also be an excellent podcast for all of those that want to come, because we can use your opinions. We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to hear from you in the chat on, questions about how to best solve educating folks and getting them ready for this industry. That would be awesome.
I love it. I love all the things. That's so cool. You guys have a great weekend. I think this is going to be the one where I'm going to be heavily shopping. I have not even started my Christmas list.
Hey, I'm getting my lawn display set up, so that will come this week. I live in a neighborhood where the whole neighborhood just goes nuts, right?
Really? Oh man,
yeah.
I would be the disappointment. My Christmas light plans are still in the boxes in the bags from the store.
Well, I'm in the arena of anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right? So we've got like a 14-foot high, great big lawn display.
That's awesome. That's awesome. If anybody follows me on Twitter, I put up the picture of my sad tree that I finally got put up. Because I unboxed the tree from last year and some of the things were broken, and then I couldn't find the topper and I panicked. And I, of course, waited till the very end of the day after the kiddos were in bed and wouldn't be trying to break ornaments, and was like, where is the top section of my tree? Who steals that? What is going on? So I ran out to the store at like 9:00 at night trying to find a tree, which, by the way, is pretty impossible in the second week of December, just saying. And finally found one that would work, put it together, got home, or, not in that order, got home, put it together, and then found that the topper was like stuck to the back of the other tree. And I was like, this is just not my day, but it's up. It's up. Adulting is hard. I'm just saying.
Oh, and Chip, in the neighborhood too, we have Hanukkah displays up all over the place and things like that too. So it's awesome. Yep. It's a really cool place.
Yep. It's great. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and go stop by Will's neighborhood. We're not going to tell you where you live, but apparently it's fantastic out there. Will, you'll have to share pictures with us later.
Awesome.
We'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Later, folks.